Your return is being described by the press as marvellous news. Can I ask you if you intend staying with saloon cars, or whether you really are casting an eye at Formula One again?
No thought at all of Formula One. Now, I mean, I'm doing saloons. I expect and hope to stay with saloons, although I do occasionally race the historic cars, which of course are the old type of Formula One. I can't really see myself entering anything other than what I'm doing now. Formula One, no interest, although there's enormous money to be made if I were able to be good enough. But I don't think, one, I don't think I'd be good enough. Two is I think that the pleasure, a lot of the pleasure has gone. I think that now it's extremely fast, great demands made. I think the drivers are really terrific. There's no two ways.
Oh,
I think they are terrific. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. But I think that the problem that they're faced with is that however good they are, the margin of possibility to demonstrate their ability is lessened than it used to be. I think in the days of Fangio, that a driver probably contributed, say, 40% to the winning capabilities. I think today this has been narrowed down because of the tremendous advance of technical expertise to probably 5 or 10%. So if you have a driver, and you do have drivers who are absolutely terrific, really terrific, that they're not able to demonstrate how good they are that much over and above other drivers who are just very good.
What about the international motor racing scene then? Obviously, more has changed since your heydays than just the shape of the car.
Oh yes, it is a different sport. I mean, obviously the safety requirements are enormous now because of the speeds of the cars. You've got skirts and you've got wings, and the road holding of the vehicles now is double the road holding that I remember. I mean, I'm talking Formula One is enormous, and because of that, obviously there are greater requirements. That the cars are so sophisticated that you can't race them on roads, real road racing. You have roads made into tracks, which are really very smooth. And I think the whole concept of the sport has really changed, and it isn't the way I remember it, and therefore, obviously, I'm being the old-fashioned type. I like what I used to know rather than the one that's come up, because I feel that the ultimate type of driving is really racing on roads, you know, like round your island, if you like, you know, make a good circuit, the old times.
How much has all this helped us, the drivers on the roads, then?
Oh, quite a lot. I mean, what you've got to realise is when I was racing, all right, it's 18 years ago, the widest tyre that they could make technically was about 6 or 7 inches wide. Now they can make them 16. Now, what they've learnt to be able to do that is enormous, and therefore it is watered down and put on tyres that you can drive for your road car, you can buy for the road car. Brake linings and all these sort of things are developed. Now fuel injection is common. I mean, I've got it on the Audi, and it's standard on quite a few cars. This is something that was developed through motor racing, or perfected and honed through motor racing. So I think that the ordinary motorist is still learning quite a lot, apart from the fact that, of course, it's obviously giving pleasure to people who go along to watch the races.
In your opinion, how would drivers of your day, like yourself, Mike Hawthorne and of course Fangio, have compared with the Andrettis and Regazzonis, the Laudas of today?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out in a smaller way, I suppose. I'm in there with all these young hot shoes, you know. No, I like to think that if Fangio were racing today, if he, in other words, this was his era, he would still be the very finest. I mean, he was 5 times world champion because he was the best. And I think the difference between the world record holder in the mile, if you like, is not that great from Roger Bannister, who today is really very slow. But the fact that he did 4 minutes, or 3:59.9, I think is an enormous barrier he broke. And once you show something, people can do it. And I think in motor racing it's much the same. I think the drivers you have the great drivers of today and you have them of yesterday, and I think they're all much the same, actually.
Yes, you were quoted in a Sunday newspaper as saying that today's top driver doesn't have time to become a character. I found that quite interesting, because I would have thought someone like James Hunt, for instance, would have disagreed with you on that.
Yeah, well, James Hunt is one of the interim characters, but James was a character for a short while and then got out. I mean, he didn't stay in there, you know, like the other characters did. I mean, Marquis de Portago and, if you like, Innes Island and so on. These were characters what I meant by that remark really was that there's so much pressure on the drivers. Because of the sponsorship, because of the money that is made, and because of the amount of things they have to do, the testing and the development and the personal appearances, that it is very difficult for them to be characters. Because if a man is a great character and a personality, then it is unlikely that he is going to be the sort of person who would buckle down, or could buckle down, to the life and demands made of a professional racing driver in 1980.
We don't seem to be producing the champion drivers out of Britain as much these days, and I was going to ask you, wonder whether the sport perhaps is missing out at club level. In other words, There don't appear to be any young sort of Stirling Mosses and Mike Hawthorns tigering their way round Brands Hatch and making a national name for themselves anymore.
Well, I think a lot of that is because at the moment we have the French have come in. I mean, this is the Elf and these companies put up sponsorship, and if you like, you know, you win a what do you call it when you get money given to you for a scholarship. They put up sort of scholarship scheme, and because of that, we've seen the French come in, and they're really doing extremely well. Now the English haven't had that, and it is difficult to find sponsorship. The cars are very expensive, and obviously if you own a car that's worth £100,000, you're more likely to look to an established star or name than you are take an unknown bloke. I think you'll find the English will come back. It may be in 2 years, 3 years. They're in there trying still. At the moment that we happen to have a flood of Frenchmen. Well, before that, we've had Germans and Italians, and we've had even you know, guys from Australasia. So I think you'll find that it's just a case of the cycle coming round, and I think England will come back again. I can't think there's any reason why we shouldn't see English people at the top again.
I'm just wondering, you see, whether over-sponsorship probably hasn't killed the cavalier aspect of the sport.
Oh, I think very much it has. I mean, now I know that if you are a good driver and you happen to be your national champion and you haven't got a car, if you want one, you're going to have to ante up something like £100,000 for one event. And this is obviously unfortunate because it's difficult to find somebody who'll put up that money unless you have credentials to show that you're worth it. And I'm afraid that the times when the amateur sportsman would go out with his sports car around Goodwood and so on, I'm afraid they're gone forever. You still can go out, and there are people obviously who arrive with their sports cars, but somehow those cars are getting pushed to the back because they're not quite as exciting or interesting. But in the middle you have got things like the Formula Ford 2000 and 1600 and so on, which are helpful, and I think they do give people a slow way of getting up towards the top.
Between your Goodwood accident and today, you've turned your hand to quite a few different fields. What's given you the most satisfaction?
Well, I think I enjoy designing. I enjoy you know, working out novel things. I have a fairly unusual house which I designed, and I enjoyed that very much. I do enjoy giving lectures and talks, not speeches as much as, you know, talking about my sport, motor racing, answering questions, this sort of thing. I write, which I don't enjoy the writing so much, but I enjoy getting the information for writing, you know, testing cars and this sort of thing. In fact, I would say really I'm very lucky because I enjoy my life anyway. You know, I'm enjoying being over here. I'm over here because I happen to be working for Akai Audi, and they brought me over here for this, you know, the new showroom opening. Well, that sort of thing is enjoyable because I travel, and in a couple of weeks' time I have to go over to Hawaii with a dealer group from Akai, which is going to be hard work when you've got 100 dealers, but nevertheless it's interesting, and the movement around the place is nice. I mean, to me, movement is tranquility. I can think of nothing worse than just laying on the beach and frying, you know.
Now, talking of movement, was winning the Mille Miglia perhaps the greatest moment of your life?
Looking back, probably it was. But at the moment of winning, I didn't know I'd won, because the cars started at minute intervals until everybody had gone, until the time had passed that nobody could catch me. I didn't know. So it's slightly anticlimactic. I think probably the greatest achievement that I can remember was the Monaco Grand Prix of 1961, because that one, it was 100 laps, and I was racing every lap, and I could see, my gosh, the time was getting down. We got 90 laps, 80, 70, 60, and the Ferraris were only 3 or 4 seconds behind, and so they were right on top of me, and I could see what I was doing, and I could feel that it was happening, and so that was an enormous moment, but in sheer, if you like, what I did, I think probably the Mille Miglia was possibly a better success.
Thank you very much indeed.